Hello, everybody. I wanted to take this time, it's a really excellent time to talk about 2021 wrapping up, how the last year went. And it seemed like a really good moment just to talk about learning and what learning does for us. We all kind of know that learning is a good thing, but we don't spend a lot of time usually talking about what is it? What is the learning? And we might have ideas about it that don't really serve us. So I'm going to define for right now learning as what you want to take forward. That means looking back with an idea of gleaning, noticing what were challenges, what went well, what didn't go well, and what contributed to those outcomes that you want to take as learning to go forward. I came across a definition of the word accountability. And you know, in the ADHD world, we often talk about accountability. And I'm not a big fan of the way the word gets used a lot. To me, it seems like, you know, it kind of gets a negative connotation. And this one said to give an account. Like, okay. It's a really neutral way of putting it, right? Accountability is that opportunity when we say what went well this past week, what didn't go well. There's no judgment in it. It's just curiosity and processing, remembering, thinking about what was helpful, what wasn't helpful. And that process of taking that time is something that in our culture, it's really hard for us to find to make time to do that. We tend to just move on, next fire to put out, next day, and we really don't give ourselves that. So this is kind of a call for taking that time. One of the other concepts that came up was the idea of celebrating failure. It sounds a little weird, but saying, well, failure, number one, it means you tried something, which is in itself to be celebrated. One point was we tend to learn more from our failures than from our successes, right? So this idea of taking your learning, that's a win. That's not a fail, that's a win because you learned something. And if it got your attention, because maybe it had a negative part to it that really made you pay attention. I don't like that. I don't want that to happen anymore. That can be a very powerful learning that can be used in powerful ways as you go forward. So to think about failure in terms of the iterative sprints that we talk about in the project management kind of language of failing fast. And, you know, failure is just a moment in that cycle. You take your learning, you move forward, you try again. It's only when everything stops that you know whether you succeeded or failed, right? But until then, it's just learning, 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 learning. So that's the idea of being comfortable with the idea of, nope, that didn't work so well. And telling failure stories like we might tell success stories. Look what I learned. And the idea also being of what failed, but not who failed, or I failed. It didn't work. That was the thought, didn't work. So the idea of failure also, there's this other side of that, which is how we think of success. And you probably have noticed how it's harder to take credit for something that you just did. Oh, you did that? Oh, I just do that. You know, we don't think of it as something successful. We don't think of it as remarkable. When truly it means that we used our strengths. If it was easy, wow, you want to know, oh, what was easy about that? What made it easy? How can I get more of that? How can I get more of that so that I get more ease into my life in the future? And what did I do Or what was the circumstances? What was the environment that helped make that be easy? Because there's this weird thing we have going that if it's not hard, and we didn't have to work really hard and push ourselves and make ourselves do all this stuff, that it wasn't work and it's not a success. Which is absurd when you think about we're all just trying to get our outcome that we want to get. It doesn't matter whether it was hard or easier or how long it took to get there if we get to the outcome that we want. So if you don't understand that it was a success, you can't take your learning, and you don't understand that you have tools. That if you can leverage them, they will make the future easier and better, getting the outcomes that you want. So asking, you can call it a look back, you can call it a debrief, you can call it a post-mortem. I think almost every industry that I've coached with seems to have their own name for this sort of thing. If you do that, then it becomes part of your process for making sense of your experience, what's happened to you. It suddenly makes sense, and you can take your learning. So you're no longer looking at it, this was good, this was bad, this was good, this was bad, oh, I really screwed up there. If all of that judgment can go away, then it's just what happened. Oh, what contributed to that? What was the situation? What was the environment? What worked well for me that I did, and what should I have done or could I have done that might have gotten a better outcome that I want to try next time? That's just play. That's just in the realm of playing with possibilities and using your imagination to imagine a more positive outcome next time, and your memory, sparking your memory. Oh, I want to remember that. I want to use that again in the future.